Welcome all to the VHS Vault. I'm your host, Jason, and there next to me is Jason Roy Gaston, or perhaps Voorhees, we don't know. Welcome, Jason, whoever you are.
It's me.
We're all a bit disappointed, aren't we, now? We were hoping it was the disfigured face of... but instead we get this handsome devil. Like we kind of there you go. Number 4. I can't believe we're already at number 4, Jace. This is...
I know. This has been a ride, and we're finally entering the era that I think we have one more before we enter the zombie era, which is my personal favorite part of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, definitely.
Until then, we're just kind of going through the originals, and yeah.
Would you consider this the end of this kind of storyline? Because very much I consider the final chapter like almost the end of a trilogy within this series.
I would say that's probably a good summation. I would lump 5 in with it. But as for actual Jason, yes, this is the end of the epic trilogy.
Yeah. And time-wise, this... I mean, we'll get into it, but this is kind of like number 3 took straight after number 2, and number 4 takes straight after number 3. So
yeah, it's like the Porky's movies.
Yeah, it was a big week. So yeah,
you would think after 3 solid days of mass murder, people would stay the heck away from that lake.
Yeah, you think police might be a bit better at their game, but we will definitely talk about that.
So, we got ourselves some more slaughtered teenagers just like yesterday and the day before. Let's go down to the donut shop and think about this.
Brilliant. Hey, before we get into the background info, Jace, which I know you got some for us, let's have a look at this poster. I love this poster. Talk about attention grabbing in the cinema, you know, forget about the movie. But when I saw this poster as a kid, I couldn't have been more excited. I honestly.
Oh, it's stunning. It is a stunning statement to have that mask and the chunk chopped out of it and the blood in the final chapter. I have very limited memory. Well, I'll get to that here in just a minute because I'm jumping the gun and I'm not going to do that today.
No, we're not going to do that. We're going to get into... Okay, behind the scenes of this one, Jace, they're a machine at this point. The production company, they're just pumping them out. Like this
one every year, killing spree. The next day, killing spree, which means that this movie takes place on Sunday, the 15th.
Yeah. The dates are a little bit off. There's no doubt about it.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge. And it falls over in the third movie because that's technically Saturday, the 14th, right?
Yes, and this one is number 2, Sunday the 15th.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, why are all these businesses open?
Yeah, I have no idea.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they do 7-day trading now. They were a bit ahead of the game back then.
It could be.
So for all intentions, this was supposed to be the last one. When they wrote this one, they initially wrote the script. The producers went, we're going to tie it up, we're going to finish the storyline, and we're out. And I had heard, Jason, they didn't get far into production before Paramount went, we ain't giving up on this cash cow.
Yeah, I could see how maybe the producers and writers thought this will be the end, but Paramount's in the background going, no, we want more of that delicious, low-effort money that this wonderful series that we're simultaneously ashamed of but demand more brings in.
Well, if you know, we'll get to the end of the movie, but it's right at the end, just that little shot is how they left it open.
Yeah.
It wasn't intended, but that final little shot that we get is how they go, well, maybe we can continue it. But we're jumping quite ahead there. This movie stands out in regards to production because they actually hired real actors this time, Jason.
They did. I was just saying, we saw our old friend Crispin Glover in here, professional actor and weirdo. And I mean that in the best possible way because this guy is a weirdo. Even back then, he was a weirdo.
He's great in this film. I'm going to put it out there. He really is. Good in this film.
I wanted him to live up until the last 5 minutes of his life. After that, I was like, ooh, kill him.
He does, not to jump ahead, he does get a good death, though. I do like
He gets a great death.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
It's a deserved death, I think, because he really was a pig at the end.
Him and his mate in this are horrible.
Yeah, oh gosh, those two guys together, I was really happy to see them both get offed. I was not a big fan of their characters. Big fan of their deaths, though. Which this movie has, let's just say, multiple shortcomings, but it does have some very nice death scenes.
Yeah. You know what? Let's get into the first time, and then we'll get stuck in to what we thought of the movie back then, and then what we thought after watching it. Jace, you take it. When did you first see this?
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Is Jason there?
I think I'm about to be visited by someone. Stop that. My motion lights are malfunctioning. Let me see if I can fix them. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.
Just wait longer. Oh, we'll.
There we go. All right. They're just going to be blue.
That's cool. I'll
okay, so my first time even hearing about this movie, this is the first movie trailer that I remember seeing on TV. By this point, I had seen at least the first two Friday the 13th, and I had an interest in this movie because I was a sick little delinquent, and I saw that they were doing the final chapter, and I remember feeling sad, thinking, well, this is going to be it. Now, as for whenever I actually saw the movie, I don't remember. I think I saw it on cable TV because, of course, I was not going to go to a theater to see it because my family, my mother and father were irresponsible parents, but they weren't quite that irresponsible.
I'm on with.
No, they wouldn't take me to see it in the movie theater. You know, just wait till it comes on to pay TV. You'll see it there. And I did. I saw it on the pay TV. And I remember, again, that overwhelming sadness that this character was gone. And then here comes, the next chapter. A couple of months later, I'm seeing the previews for that. And I'm just like, they lied to us. It's still going on. But I was satisfied with what it gave me at the time, and my dumb young mind wanted to see a slasher psycho killer and doing what they do best, and that's what he did, and he did it best, in my opinion. As I've grown, my opinion has changed a little bit, but, back then, I was happy.
Well, we were kind of around the same age at that time, and in many ways, this film, when I first saw it, I fell in love with this movie. This movie, in retrospect for me, stood up as a high watermark for this series. And I remember, I never got to see it at the cinema, but I did see it on video and once, and it was just, I wore that tape out, just watching it again and again and again. And it felt very cohesive to me at the time as a kid. I went, oh yeah, this is absolutely the sequel to number 2 and 3, and I love it. And it's, it was gorier. It had, there was more, a little bit of nudity in this film as a young boy. I was very interested in seeing that.
I don't remember that, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so I had very strong nostalgic feelings for this film. As a child, absolutely, I did. It was, to me, it was better than any of the Halloween films in my immature little brain. It just was the pinnacle for me of slasher films in that period of the 80s. However, times change, Jason.
Yes, they do. We become older. We become wiser. We become more cynical.
So what happens after we've been rewatching it? I can't completely defend how I thought as a child on this one, Jace. But I'm going to go into the positive first before we start ripping in a new a-hole. And that is, it's a jump in production quality, this film.
It is. I have to hand it to that, yes.
I'm like, no, they spent money on this one. They actually got a decent a cinematographer. They got a good editor. They got actors. Everything, all the kind of pieces were there. But after rewatching, this film is an absolute mess. Everybody deserves to die times 100 in this movie. Not because the film asked for it. It's just because there's nothing redeeming about these people. The only one redeeming in this is Corey Feldman, who I more appreciate as a child actor for his performance in that than what his character did. But There's a lot of great deaths, just a lot of dumb people who are offensive, annoying, and I'll say it again, I'm doubling down, deserve to die in this film.
I agree. This movie is a mess. And while we do have a jump in the quality and the makeup and the deaths, mostly because Tom Savini came back for this movie, but they attempted to tell a somewhat deeper story with Corey Feldman's character, linking him in with Jason and seeing him get traumatized. The problem is it feels like Corey Feldman's character, which I will lump on what you said, did a darn good job in this movie. And I think that what happened to this kid over the last 30, 40 years is a shame, and people should be on their hands and knees apologizing to him, because he was a talent that was exploited and violated, and he tried to warn everybody, and people laughed in his face, and he was right.
And it affected him. Because
it did. It messed him up.
80s, he was probably the finest child actor of his time. When you look at things like Stand By Me, and you look at this, and Goonies, and everything that he appeared in, even his small role in Gremlins, this kid pulled off natural like no other. Like,
yes.
You never saw this kid performing. And you know what? I'll even defend License to Drive. No.
License to Drive was great. I liked it. I haven't seen it in 40 years, but I liked it. Yeah.
Dream a Little Dream, not so much. But
I haven't seen that one. But yeah, Corey Feldman was an amazing child actor because he was so natural. He was not artificial. He wasn't annoying. Even in the scenes where he was supposed to be annoying. And I'm thinking of the scene where he was in bed and he was looking across the way at the whoopee that was going on in the next cabin. And he does this thing where he gets excited and he's going, into his pillow. And the whole time I'm thinking, any other kid actor, this would be annoying and you would just want to slap him. But you watch them and you're just like, I get this kid. I get it.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
You little
and
pervert.
that's the talent. That's not the directing. That's not the writing. That is the talent right there.
He made choices.
He did. And the fact that he was, 10? Maybe even younger whenever he did this movie? Extraordinary. Yeah. It's just an extraordinary piece of acting. And I never thought I'd ever say that about a Friday the 13th movie. But it is. That's some extraordinary acting. Moving on to everything else. It seems like Feldman disappears from this movie for a very prolonged time and then reappears at the end and, serves a role where he is the one who offs Jason and basically has a psychotic break. And it just comes out of nowhere, which is a shame because, again, Corey Feldman is amazing in that scene as well. But the fact that he was so far removed from this movie, he was removed from Jason Voorhees, it almost seems like an afterthought, a very ill-conceived afterthought. If he'd been in the movie more, if he'd had more encounters with Jason, maybe had somewhat of a connection, it would have been better. It would have worked. But they swung and they didn't just miss, but they cracked the catcher in the face with the bat. The bat went flying into the stands and knocked out a nun and an orphan.
Well, the fact that they try to explain it with him reading these yellow-aged articles, which clearly should have been from the paper the day before, so certainly they're using very old paper. So he does this research.
He was camping outside,
Yeah, he's reading these old articles, which, mind you, there's a drawing. Like, the sketch artist somehow knew exactly what Jason looked like because there's a picture of him in one of them. Anyway, he does his research, and from that article, he also must be a child genius because he's got he understands psychology enough to go, well, the best way to end this scenario is to actually role play with him, and pretend I'm him, because his psychological disorder, which I've just understood by reading this news article, says to me this is the only way to take him down. And that is so dumb as writing. I mean,
I buy that Feldman's character is a genius because did you see those masks?
I did
Come
see
on,
those masks.
those are masks that Tom Savini took out of his suitcase and was like decorating the room with. I got an idea. How about the kid made these? And Tom Savini's just like, oh my god, I can't believe they talked me.
No way, I didn't think the kid had made them. I'm thinking, how rich are these people? Because he's got Hollywood props in his bedroom. Like, what's going on?
Wait until you see the gimbal that I assembled out of trash that's in my backyard.
Can I go back to the beginning of this? Because
Absolutely.
I think they warn us with this film with the opening. Straight off the bat, Jace, we get the cool Friday the 13th logo. Completely straight after, explosion, final chapter. And then once I saw that, I went, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't right. And
all your nostalgia just started to fall apart right there, didn't it?
That sense of dread started to set in. And then I'd forgotten about, I don't know why, but I'd forgotten about the whole opening. I loved that the cops were there, and there's a shot of the, I think the fire of the ambulance, or even the cops picking up the hatchet that was in Jason's head. So this is immediately, 1 or 2 hours afterward, I would suggest, where we pick it up with this bit, and we take it straight to the hospital. I'd forgotten all about the hospital bit.
Yeah, where we find more people who deserve to die.
Who
does that in a morgue room? Who does that with a body right next to them? That's disgusting.
I don't know. He's a weirdo, but he's also played, I can't remember his character's name in Police Academy. I think it was Speckler, the guy that was pratfalling all the time. He was the nerdy guy.
That is out of his Speckler? House.
That is Speckler.
Oh my gosh. I did not even recognize him, because right there he looks like somebody who would be on a list to stay away from elementary schools.
But, why? I mean, I understand we have to have a hospital scene, but immediately you put two unlikable characters in there straight away. Both those people are despicable in their own way.
Yes. Oh.
The nurse is playing hard to get, but at the same time, she's down. She's down for this. So they're playing this little game with each other. Meanwhile, there's a dead body next to them, and they seem totally okay with it. So when this happens, I'm pretty damn happy, because I think this is a good kill.
It is a spectacular kill. It is,
and well deserved to that dude, because he deserved it.
My adult children were watching this movie with me, and whenever the hacksaw went back and forth, I could hear my daughter going, "Oh, oh, oh." She didn't do that during the almost sex scene, but she did it right there. So
Tom Savini was so happy to
hear
that.
Like, oh, no.
Yeah. That's what I was a little bit too as we get older. The nurse kill wasn't too bad. I didn't mind that one. She gets kind of stabbed and then lifted up. So
I didn't mind that.
But you know what's weird about this movie? And this movie makes some weird editorial choices along the way. We go from that moment and we hard cut to two white women jogging.
Yes.
If you watch it, Jace, it's a very hard cut. It doesn't
really
even
is. It's weird.
They don't even cross dissolve. They just hard cut straight to these two clearly rich white women jogging along who don't read the newspaper or the radio, have no idea that they're running around a campground where 30 people have been killed in the last 24, 48 hours.
Well, they are white.
Yes.
They are white.
Yeah, look, I can't argue that. They are white. No. So,
I fully accept I accept that white people in horror movies are the dumbest people ever, and I'm gonna tell you why I accept it in an anecdote where the light went off thinking, we really are dumb. I was at a beach in Florida. First of all, I was in Florida. And while I'm in the beach, I have my GoPro with me and I'm taking pictures underwater and I'm having a good time. And somebody says, "There's a shark." And everybody starts getting out of the water. And I'm sitting there thinking, I could get a great picture of this shark. And after a while, it hits me after about a minute that I'm in, chest deep water and there's a shark lurking somewhere. What am I doing? I am officially the first victim in a horror movie right there.
I've just got this image of you in the water doing that classic zoom in effect they did with Brody in Jaws when he realizes there's a shark in the water. That cool move where he looks in and goes, shit. You didn't hear some guy on the beach yelling, "Pippa, Pippa." No?
Well, fortunately,
that's for the old folks who watch this.
Yeah. Fortunately, it was a hammerhead, but I'm still an idiot. So yes, if I'm ever in a horror movie situation, I will be one of the first ones to get knocked off because I am a dumb white guy.
Yeah, well, there's lots of dumb white people in this film, and let's get cracking into some of them. Except for this lad, we did mention Corey Feldman. He's great in it.
My gosh, what an angel on earth.
But then we get Danny Zuko clearly joining the cast. Can I ask you a question, Jason? Was there ever a time a short-sleeved denim jacket was cool to wear?
Amazingly, yes.
I'm shocked.
In America, yes, there was a time. It was never cool.
That is 80s cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
right?
It was never cool to act like this guy. Looking at that picture of him, I just want to punch him right in his stupid face.
Why he didn't die first, I'll never know.
Yeah, if he would have survived this movie, he would have been a sex offender. That's all I can say. I think he already was by this point.
He's not even good to his friends, which we introduced as we've previously spoken. Crispin Glover, a.k.a., and I can say this because I'm not a teacher and I'm Australian, dead fuck.
Yes.
He's referred to multiple times.
I thought you were going to call him... I thought you were going to call him George McFly.
Well, he's George McFly.
Who might have also been one. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows either. But it's just like straight away, this is the problem the film has. Because straight away, we've been introduced to multiple characters who are basically horrible. Between the doctor and the nurse and these two guys, within the first 10 minutes, I'm like, this film's full of a-holes.
Yes.
Because Crispin, all he wants to do is get laid. That is the only thing, He is an 80s teenager, and that seemed to be the only thing we had to worry about in the 80s was getting laid, apparently. Obviously, we get introduced to the rest of the cast, who I call the car full of nobodies, bland nobodies. Because they are.
I don't even remember if they had names or not.
I can't even remember the guy's name on the right there, but the gay name on the left, he's Peter Barton. He was in Young and Restless. He had a TV show called something, Matthew Starr. I can't remember.
Yeah, The Secret Life of Matthew Starr. You just told me about it, and I said, oh, yes, that show. I've never seen it. The Friday the 13th movies, and I do see a little bit of it building in this movie. The Friday the 13th movies, they manage to... Later on, they have fun with it. They have fun with the formula. They're like, yes, we know this is stupid. Let's have fun with it. And right now, they are getting the elaborate kills down. They're getting the gore down. But they just have this overwhelming, overpowering stench of meanness to it. And it's difficult to watch.
There are certainly things.
You have no one to root for. You don't have a favorite character. You don't have, Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis. You don't have the psychic girl from part 7. You don't have the boxer from part 8. These were characters that you did like on one level, and you
rooted for them.
You rooted for them. Here, you have no one aside from Feldman to root for, and that is such a negative for this movie.
Back to that young lady, she did get a good kill, though, because you did mention how good the kills were. Though, again, problematic. I like it because it kind of sold the scene when she gets the knife through the back of her throat there, and then the squeezing of the banana to say that, like, her moment, breath in life. I don't know. I just liked that was a little touch, because normally they would just cut away from it. And you could see her laugh, breath, squeezing banana. So I hope she got paid well for it. That's all I
hope she did, too.
Yeah. Hey, did you notice with the mother that out of the two, the mother in that, did you feel early on in this movie they were trying to sell her as perhaps the next Mrs. Voorhees? Because there were a couple of shots in there, like especially this shot here, Jason, where she's looking through the window and she's given this conspicuous kind of look. And I just wonder if they were trying to mess with the audience, saying, hey, might be the middle-aged woman again. Karen may be back.
It's possible. I don't really know, quite honestly, as big of a mess as this script was, I don't really know if they were giving it that much forethought.
Nah, maybe I'm reading into it. Can you tell me the name of these two characters? Because I have no idea who they are. What's the film?
Oh, that's
I
Sally
saw them
and
in
Tina.
several scenes. Ah.
No, I have no idea. I just made those names up.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is how, again, I'm going to hammer down. Those girls are no charisma. You actually realise how good the young lady who was in part 2, Alice, who played Alice.
Yes.
How good she was. Because she stands out so far in the series as the one who brought the most as the lead actress, the survivor as such. None of them here. Nudity, Jace. It's a big thing in this film. And
I didn't notice.
I didn't know that.
I didn't notice.
They've got to do it, don't they? We've got to have a skinny dipping scene. It seems like that's part of the formula now. We have a Friday the 13th. Someone's got to go skinny dipping. Someone's got to get naked in a pool full of potential leeches and any other bacteria, but everyone's got to get naked.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've seen enough documentaries about brain-eating bacteria and fish that swim where they shouldn't go. I'm good, thank you.
Yep. I'm good too.
I have no intention, and I do think that there is a formula to surviving a Jason movie. Don't become unclothed, don't drink, don't do drugs.
Yeah.
If you do one of those 3 things, you're dead. Jason Voorhees is a morality play. Every single movie is a morality play. Yes, and the Friday the 13th movies eventually embrace it, and they start having fun with it, which is why I say the zombie era of Jason is the best era. Yeah. I think as we're going through here, rewatching these early ones, it's becoming more obvious why I like the zombie era, because it's fun. Yeah. It's fun and it's silly. It does not take itself anywhere near this seriously. And I think that the caliber of the characters are better.
They are. We get another new character in this, and who I've named Random Handsome Stranger.
Yes.
Who they just find on the side of the road. And I'm thinking, his intention to confuse us to potentially think that he's somehow a killer?
I don't know, but he was so useful in this movie. Just the whole character, just the fact that he shows up just so that Corey Feldman can get those newspaper clippings, and then he dies.
And then he dies.
You almost think that he's going to be the hero of the movie, but no, he's just going to die.
I think his name is Jack Exposition, because he does a little bit of that in this film. And he's that glue, because he's the one who tells Corey Feldman's older sister all about the background about Jason. Who, mind you, do you know, he's actually playing the brother of someone called Sarah, who was in number 2.
Yes,
so the whole reason
I
he's
picked up
in
on
this
that
film is he's supposed to be tracking her because she's gone missing 36 hours before.
36 hours before. Yes, I've been camping for weeks to catch the killer of my sister, who disappeared 36 hours ago.
Don't they have continuity people in films?
Not in these movies. Not in these movies. They had to cut them to streamline the budget.
But Random Handsome Stranger, he did his role, and I thought to myself, I'd forgotten who dies and who doesn't die, and part of my head as I'm watching, I'm thinking, does he die? And then, he dies one of the coolest, most hilarious deaths in this movie. I'm going to just jump forward. In the basement, when he gets it, he narrates his own death, which is hilarious. He's killing me. Help me. He's stabbing me. It's just so wonderful because you don't see anything. You just see the back of Jason going like this. But it's the fact that he narrates that kills me every time.
You know, it'd be hilarious. I want to make a Friday the 13th movie in the future, and I want to make it a straight up comedy. I want Morgan Freeman to appear in the movie and narrate his own death. As Jason Voorhees walks slowly towards me with the machete in hand, he thrusts it mightily into my chest. Oh my God, this hurts.
I'm bleeding out. Crispin Glover, let's face it, he's there to get laid, and he does, and I'm going to play this now, before we get to his death. He does probably the single most epic thing in this movie entirely. Now, do I have the clip here, Jace? Is the Crispin Glover dance.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, my
now,
goodness.
it is something to behold. As you can see, it's the moves. It's the fact that he made these choices as an actor is why he stands out in this film.
Well, he actually based that dance on the way that he danced in clubs, because that's actually how Crispin Glover dances. I told you, the dude is a weirdo, and I mean that in the absolute most positive way I can, because he is... I know that there are all these weird stories about him, but it is those choices that, to me, make him such an interesting actor. And I also have to add that on the set, he was dancing to AC/DC's Back in Black, which, of course, they did not play in the movie because they did not have the rights to. They ended up with an edited version of Love is Alive by Lion, which did not really fit the dance, but to me, only made the dance more epic.
That's it, that he's constantly out of sync.
Yes.
He can never get into the rhythm of the music.
It just makes him wider. That's all, which means he's going to die.
And he's going to die, and he gets a good death in this one, Jace. He does, and it happens earlier than I think. After he's had his made-out session, he's in the kitchen, corkscrew through the hand, which is very cool, backed up with the classic hatchet in the face. And that's become a Friday the 13th classic now, because we had it in the last movie. And we also had it to the poor guy in the wheelchair copped it in the face in part 2 and went down the stairwell. So, yeah, it seems to be... You can't have... I can't remember if there's any more hatchet in the face in these movies.
There's got to be.
There's got to be, right?
There's
got to be. Now, people who sin, Jason, as we explained clearly in this, are got to die. And when the virgin protagonist decides to get it on from the actor of The Young and the Restless, they're going to die. There is no doubt about it, they're going to die. And Peter Barton's death, because I can't remember his character name, but I remember the actor, it's not bad. Do you remember how he dies in the shower?
Yes, his skull gets freaking crushed. Jason Voorhees had some freaky chimpanzee on meth strength in this movie.
Like he's, literally just, and when you see it, he's just pushes kind of, he goes to a certain point and then it caves in a little bit more.
And just the cracking coconut sound effect just sells that scene. That's actually, I think, one of the best kills in all of the series. It's definitely top 10.
It's up there for sure. Yes. Because at this point in the movie, everyone's paired off basically, and they're all out there getting nookie as such, except for poor Danny Zuko, who I've named Danny Zuko. He's watching old blue movies on a projector by himself while smoking copious amounts of weed. So, because that's what he does all night.
He's doing the drugs though, and that means he's gonna die.
He's gonna die big time. And apparently, this death, which wasn't too bad, I like the look on his face as he gets in the back of the head. But apparently, the MPAA, there was a much more violent version of this. And the MPAA, they had to cut it. Because
they said that the audiences would enjoy it too much.
Yeah.
We don't want people to cheer whenever this guy dies. We know he sucks, but can we please try something a little bit better?
This is where they absolutely, as we kind of also said, this film is really nailing the deaths. The creativity. We can see now the birth of creative deaths in this franchise.
Yes.
Because they really amp it up. And as we've already seen, but there are more to do. One of my special favourites was a death we actually didn't get to see in the camera. It was shown via shadow in a lightning strike. And that's this scene here. So one of the twin girls, if we hadn't mentioned before, there's twin girls here, which makes it even more difficult. It makes it even more difficult to care about them.
Yeah.
But one of them, who's very well prepared with her raincoat and everything, goes to leave on her bike and then gets stabbed with that flash of lightning. And I thought, wow, what a creative way to do it, is to show the moment he's stabbing her in that flash of lightning. I thought it was, here we go, we're getting really inventive here, and I kind of really dug that one, Jace.
It's that uptick in production quality with this installment as well.
Someone's thought about that, and it's not always the case in this film. You feel like you see moments where they had actually had a proper conversation how to best do this, and that was an example of that. Some of the other... This is that great kill, sorry.
He's killing me!
He's killing me!
He's stabbing me and it hurts! Owie, owie, owie!
So good.
I think that's my spleen on the floor. Why is
can't
it taking so long to die? Ow!
I'm bleeding out ever so slowly. Somebody get a rag or something. It could go on for like. This is the problem. This is why I could never make those type of films, because I dragged that scene on for 5 minutes. Have the ultimate slow death.
It would be like
Yeah.
a Mustafa
Can someone
and
sort
Austin
out
Powers.
my affairs? Yes, the Will Ferrell one. Yeah, the death in there. Hey, I can't remember who gets thrown out of this window. But again, when we're talking about certain tropes and traditions in Friday the 13th film, there's hatchet face. There's also being thrown aggressively out a window.
Yes.
And if you, he was throwing so hard of that, it's like Jason grabbed him, took a run up, and threw him out the window.
I enjoyed that the bodies that were flying through the air in many cases were obvious dummies. Because it reminded me of Married with Children whenever Bud would get thrown somewhere and it was just an obvious stuffed dummy.
But that's why it's funny.
That. Yes,
yeah,
it's
that's
hilarious.
why it's funny. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Actually, I think the person that gets thrown out of there, isn't that Virgin protagonist? Because they get up from that.
Is that the sister of Corey Feldman?
Might have been. Oh, yeah,
See,
and she gets up.
This tells you how little this movie had an impact on us. Like, who did what, when, where, how? I don't know.
Starting to get in the house. This is another ridiculous moment in this film where Jason literally gets a television thrown onto his head. That's what we're looking at. Jason, she's got strength enough that even the picture tube in the television wasn't very thick. Must have been very thin glass. Like, come on. Come on, that's something out of a cartoon at this point.
I enjoyed how literally 1 minute before that scene, Jason just burst through a door like,
yes.
Bugs Bunny. And then they run upstairs and shut the door, and he's having difficulty with that door. And you'd think he would have difficulty with the outside door, but no, the inside door is apparently, titanium on the inside. He can't get through there. I don't know.
And that's just it. There's no logic with even the killer. We can't even, to enjoy these movies, you've got to have certain rules of engagement. There are certain parameters of personality traits and that you expect from your character. Jason, like the fact that he didn't levitate in the air at some points in this movie and shoot lightning bolts out of his eyes, I have no idea, because he could have in this film.
I think that's part 9 whenever he gets that ability. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's cool then. Like, again, we're supposed to be dealing with mortal Jason. This is still a mortal human being at this point. But there are some cool bits for Jason coming up in this end of it. One of it was when they cop him in the hand. Do you remember that bit?
Yes.
It's a really great effect. And he's like moving it around and stuff.
He's really dope. I know, he's almost fascinated by it. It's like, I'm going to be Vulcan now.
Live long and prosper, everyone. I'm going to a Star Trek
Live
convention.
short and die.
No, look at this handsome devil, Jace.
Oh, he's
look
so
at
beautiful.
Him.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. And by the way, it is slightly different than the third one, but they are keeping the same shape and everything. But if you notice that his bottom lip there, what are they? They're not teeth. They're like weird mandible fangs of some sort. He's like pseudo-predator in this.
He really is. And his head is made of butter because it slides down the knife so easily.
Oh, how nice is that? Like, come on, man. Even when I watched that again, I went, damn, that's a good effect. Damn, that's a great shot.
Effect. It's just physically it makes no sense. But honestly, by this point in the movie, I was far beyond that, and I just didn't care anymore.
No. Now, we are getting to the point in this movie where we kind of get back to Corey Feldman. As we said earlier, he's done his research. He has got his psychological... He has got a plan. He's a sane young boy who's smarter than everyone else, who has a plan to do it. And he gets a great side to the headshot to Jason, which obviously causes the slide down the thing. But here's the problem I have. He takes Jason out. Jason flinches, not because if he's alive, because probably his nervous system is still flinching. In this moment, Tommy clearly goes insane.
Yeah.
No setup for that. There's no little shots early in the film that this kid might be troubled in some way. Apparently, the moment Jason's dead corpse flinched, that's where Tommy loses his brain and goes on an epic hatchet job. And it's just him hatching, as we can see. But I'm thinking like he's on his back, he's on his stomach at this point. So is he just hatching his back? Like, what's he actually hacking? His head?
I'm thinking his head, maybe? I don't know. As
I
I
don't
said
know.
earlier, I think that if there'd been more of a personal connection between Feldman's character and Jason, this would have made sense, but it just came out of nowhere.
It doesn't. Like I said, I don't even buy into the fact that he had this genius idea and like how he came up with it. But it's that. But then to do a complete 180, go, oh no, now he's gone completely insane. To the fact that we get a shot of the older sister going, no, and it's just like, what the hell? And then obviously they double down at the end of this film, Jason, with that final shot, which we spoke about in the beginning. And that is, we see a shot of Corey Feldman hugging his older sister. You can see here, it's the flinch. It's the eyes opening, I mean.
Yes, he notices the camera and he's just saying, has that been there the whole time?
That's him looking at the camera and going, we'll see you next year. I won't be in the movie, but we'll be back, audience.
Oh, he is in the next movie, though.
His character's in the next movie.
Yes. No, Feldman is in the next movie. He's in the next movie for like one scene as a flashback. He is in the next movie.
Oh, there is a flashback. Because I'm
Yes.
thinking, I don't remember him in that house, but no.
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen the next movie in probably 10 years, but I do remember. I was like, oh, Corey Feldman's back. Who is that?
When it
That's
comes
not
to
Corey
Friday
Feldman.
the 13th films that I've seen, the least, number 5 is absolutely, I've seen it once. I despise that film so much I couldn't go back. I really had a problem with it. But who knows anymore? Because 3 weeks ago when we started, so I'm like, a couple of months ago when we started, so I'm thinking, can't wait to number 3 and 4 because they're amazing. Can't wait to get to them. But I stand here to you, my friend, today going, I was misguided. My nostalgia, my member berries betrayed me.
The rose-colored glasses of nostalgia often do that. That's why sometimes I hate visiting movies from my childhood. Fortunately, I've been watching these movies forever, and although the first 5 movies of this series is, in my opinion, trash, I still got a soft spot for them.
It's hard not to have a soft spot for them because we also know what's coming up. And what's coming up is some really great, wonderful supernatural horror films.
Yes.
You know what I mean? 7, I'm kind of jumping a bit forward, but my memories of 6 are great. Memories of 8 are great. Memories of 9, not so good. 7, kind of have a soft spot for. And 10, well, 9 and 10 are...
7 was the original Freddy versus Jason movie. And whenever they couldn't get the rights sorted out, they changed Freddy's character into the telekinetic girl. No
doubt. Wow, you have just dropped some background info that I had no idea that was the case. That's fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. Wow. Who would have known that? So, but, that's a good movie too. But anyway, dude.
Oh, it's the wheel.
It's time. It's time. We've done Friday. It is time to spin the wheel to see what we're going to watch before we jump into Friday the 13th, number 5. So let's do it, Jason.
Please don't be drama. Wheel. Please don't be drama.
Well, who knows? This is what's great about this, Jason. It is completely and utterly random. We're back in the world of comedy. By the looks of it. We're back in the world of comedy. Yay! So that's the case. Let's open up that comedy category, which we have here. Now, we've still got some problematic films here, and it seems to always be sitting on probably the most problematic film in this entire
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Soul Man. So let's hope we don't get Soul Man this week. I'd like to avoid that if possible. But here we go. Let's spin the comedy wheel. Oh, I love this moment. My favourite moment. What can
it's
it be?
The anticipation for me.
Oh,
the Kentucky Fried Movie.
Wow-wee.
I have to admit, I watch this movie about once a year, and I'm somewhat of an expert in it. So
really,
be prepared for a great show.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I love this movie too. I saw this movie way too young too. My elder brothers let me watch it, and I remember loving the Bruce Lee homage in this film. That always stands out to me. This is the one, oh, no, I'm thinking Groove Tube, but certainly this one is, it's the emerging of the Zucker brothers, correct? This is
Yes.
them making their stamp in the comedy realm.
And it is such a strong debut too. They even wanted to do jokes in this movie that the studio wouldn't let them do. They wanted to name this movie Closed for Renovation. So whenever theaters put it up on the marquee would say Closed for Renovation. And the studio was just, you can't do that. Nobody will see the movie. Yeah, this is such a strong movie. I saw this on TBS, and I had no idea this movie even existed. Saw it on TBS. I saw most of the Kung Fu parody, and I was just fascinated. I wanted to know what the movie was, what it was about. So then I found it in a video store. I rented it, and it had a lot more extra scenes that were not in the cable version.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah. There's a lot of very, let's just say charged humor in this movie that would definitely not fly today. But
no,
as my memory serves, which again, I haven't seen this movie in about a year, maybe a little bit longer. It's all done with a wink and a smile. And
Zucker brothers have always done that. Yeah,
it's a wink and a smile, and it's equal opportunity. So there's no cynicalness to it. There's no meanness to it. Everyone is fair game, and as a result, I think it's a classic. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, they did. I think that movie came out in '77, if my memory correct. Then we have Airplane in '80. Then we have Top Secret in '82. What a trilogy of films is Comedy Brothers. Because, as far as I'm concerned, all three of those films are classics.
Yes.
Did I say Flying High? I meant Airplane. It was called Flying High in Australia. Sorry. We have that occasionally.
Did they do The Naked Gun as well? They did.
Yeah, but that wasn't until '87. But they had done around that time. They were developing. I think it was '82 when they came out. Police Squad,
which was a great underrated series.
Amazing 6 episodes. I know them back to back.
I do too.
So yeah, this is thrilling. I can't wait to go back and watch Kentucky Fried Movie. I'm wrapped with this choice. Yep. So that's all I've got to add, Jason. So, guys, on the next VHS Vault, you've got a week to get ready. Go find Kentucky Fried Movie, watch it, and join along with us next week as we dig into that. And of course, if you've liked what you've seen, and I'd have to question why, no kidding, hopefully you like what you've seen, please subscribe, like, share, do all those things that helps us little YouTubers get more coverage out there and get seen. And of course, if you want to follow us on our social medias, you can follow me on TikTok and Twitter at VHS_Jace. And of course, you can find Jason Roy Gaston slowly taking over the internet at Jason Roy Gaston on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. He will be investigated soon because he may be doing a monopoly. It may be one of those things. What's your governing body that investigates crooked business dealings in America?
I don't know. I think it's Channel 4. I don't know. Channel 4's got a guy who goes out and does that, but he mostly hits, restaurants that are serving expired meat. So I think he'll leave me alone.
So if you get a knock on the door, maybe just hide under the couch or something. But either way, go check out Jason's stuff. He's got some amazing, funny stuff, including, if you may have watched last week's VHS, Battle Cat. The stories continue with the amazing Battle Cat, so go check that out, as well as his dramatic readings. He does wonderful stuff. And your reviews. Can I highlight your reviews? When you go to the movies now, you're pumping out these excellent reviews on YouTube. Even though you're wrong most of the time, they're still excellent. So I'll give you that. No, I'm kidding, Jace. I'm kidding. So check them out too, because they're really cool. All right, there's enough, plugging him. Sorry, plugging him. We don't have to keep plugging him. Let's get out of here. We'll catch you next time in the VHS Vault with Kentucky Fried Movie, guys. We'll see you then.
It will be a show of extraordinary magnitude.